Okay, we are going to start now. We have majority of the people here. Okay, so hello again and welcome back. This is the sixth and final week of the Touch of Life Foundation's virtual volunteer program for the 14 years and older. My name is Maiden Asaran and I am the president and co-founder of the Touch of Life Foundation.
My name is Kushan, and I'm the co-founder of Touch Life Foundation.
Hello, my name is Avni, and I'm one of the board members for the Touch of Life Foundation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aiden, and I'm one of the board members of the Touch of Life Foundation.
Hi, my name is Nayan. I'm also one of the board members of the Touch of Life Foundation.
Hi, I'm Ishani, and I'm another board member for the Touch of Life Foundation.
Today we'll be discussing how to avoid human trafficking and child labor, reviewing the previous 5 weeks, and allowing some of our participants to share. We will also be talking about Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize recipient, and show you a 1-minute video from him.
Human trafficking is a form of slavery and involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to receive some type of labor or commercial sex act. Victims engage in acts against their will.
Trafficking of women, men, boys, and girls occur worldwide. No country, state, or city is immune to human trafficking and child labor. People who have been trafficked are deprived of their basic human rights, forced to work in unsafe conditions, not given proper meals, and they have a lack of rest.
Vulnerable victims who traffickers target. Vulnerable victims who traffickers target include women due to the fact that 70% of the trafficked victims are women. Runaways and homeless youth are also extremely vulnerable due to being so exposed in the dangerous atmosphere. Traffickers tend to look for weak people, and I put weak in quotes for the reason that I don't mean weak for stronger muscular wise. When I say weak, I mean people who have some mental issues and can't comprehend how dangerous this global industry is. People with little online security, exposing them to a dangerous side of the internet, the dark web, and vulnerable for suspicious people to contact them, and people after devastating natural disasters.
Remember, before traveling or going to a place where you may feel you need to be careful and stay out of danger, it is always the best option to learn more about the topic of human trafficking and child labor.
Places and times where you might be most vulnerable include you are traveling alone, traveling at night, walking on deserted streets, and the internet.
Oftentimes, human traffickers tend to look harmless, sometimes well-dressed and good-looking to deceive you. But no matter who they are, what they look like, or how friendly they are, avoid talking to them. However, if you are in a situation where you are talking to them, never tell them your full name, where you are going, and where you live, and if you're staying alone.
If you feel like you are being followed, find a crowded place to run into. Avoid interacting with strangers, alert police about your suspicions, and give friends and family members a description of the trafficker.
Remember, the most common types of trafficking are sex trafficking, forced labor, and debt bondage.
What industries use trafficked victims? Number 1, sexual exploitation. Sexual exploitation is where trafficked victims are forced to have sex with either traffickers or other trafficked victims for money. Number 2, labor exploitation, where trafficked victims are forced to work. They can be forced to work in businesses and venues, construction sites, mining shafts, and most commonly agriculture and manufacturing because they are both industries with a heavy workload and tend to receive little to no pay. These trafficked victims forced to work tend to receive, typically are under the age requirement to work, again, receive little to no pay, don't get the opportunity to go to school, meaning that they don't get an education anymore, work long hours in harsh conditions, constantly exposed to the sun's heat, chemicals, and/or coal, get little rest and sleep, and tend to be victims of sexual, emotional, physical, and mental harassment. Number 3, forced criminality is when people are forced by traffickers to commit crimes, ultimately benefiting the traffickers. This industry can be very dangerous for both the trafficked victim and even the trafficker sometimes. Number 4, children in the military. This is a huge problem worldwide, specifically in developing corrupt third world countries where the government is in shambles and the society is not well developed. This happens a lot in countries in South America, Central America, Africa, Indo-Asia, and parts of the Middle East that are currently experiencing war and terrorism problems. These children in the military experience long, hard hours of work, little to no pay, tough working environments, and their work tends to be extremely dangerous. They also witness a handful of violence and typically are unable to start or finish any education. And number 5, organ harvesting. This is a major problem worldwide, specifically in China. Organ harvesting is when trafficked victims are forced against their will to endeavor surgery and typically, unfortunately, die afterwards. The surgery removes their organs so they could be sold for high prices along the black market. Number 6, forced marriage. Number 7, prostitution. And number 8, club dancing.
Before I go to the next slide, I just wanted to answer some of the questions and comment on them. So someone said, just a suggestion, small children can also have codes with their parents. I definitely agree. So it's something only the parents and children know, and it pretty much informs both of them and tells them if they're fine or not. And someone asked, is there going to be an assignment this week? There will not be an assignment this week because it is your last week. Okay. So how to recognize someone might be trafficked. Physical abuse, unexplained absences from classes, withdrawn, depressed, distracted, or checked out, change in clothing style, older partner or new friends with different living styles, or a sudden change in likes or dislikes.
What to do if you suspect someone is being trafficked. Buy from companies that are known to be slavery-free and child labor-free. Call the National Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text 233-733, and you can submit an anonymous online tip.
How can it make a difference? Legislation, awareness, education, learning the indicators, reporting, being an informed consumer, join nonprofits like the Touch of Life Foundation.
How to stay educated. So for this slide, I have questions for the audience to answer. So number 1, who are the most vulnerable targets?
So feel free to type your answer in the chat, or if you want to talk out loud, just type that in the chat and I'll give you access to speak. So someone said weak people. Definitely, weak people are targets. People from broken homes, of course. Children, yeah, because children are a lot more vulnerable because they don't know a lot about human trafficking, and yeah, they haven't been informed. Low income families, yeah, of course, low income families as well, because they're looking for a way to make more money and get more opportunities. Women and children, of course, yeah, women especially. Like we were talking about this previously in one of our presentations. 90% of the sex industry are women. So yeah, women and children are a huge component of this. Kids looking for attention, of course. Yeah, when people are desperate for attention, they will do anything. Weak people with low self-esteem, which are easily controlled and manipulated by their abuser. Of course, yeah. Yeah, when you have low self-esteem, it's pretty easy to get affected by other people.
Also, someone said women and children in alone. So yes, again, like the previous slide said, when you're alone, typically that's a huge target for traffickers because they know no one is around to help you. So that's why it's always important never to tell them where you live, what your name is, and especially if you're alone or not.
Okay, let's go to the next question.
What warning signs should you look for?
Kids skipping school, of course, yeah. If they're unexplained absences, that is a warning sign because they're not coming to school. And yeah. Bruises, yeah. Bruises are wounds Yeah, if they're getting injured, that is very concerning. People with rehearsed answers. So yeah, for example, if someone asks, oh, what's wrong? What's happening? If they sound like they have a rehearsed answer or a generic answer, that it looks like something is wrong.
Also, a big part of trafficking and how it spreads, sometimes people give their business and give money to businesses and venues that use trafficked victims as people to hire. For instance, if you see a business or venue, if you're walking down the street, right, and the people that work there maybe look underage or physically or mentally abused, or doing something like doing an act that you're questionable about, don't give them your business. If anything, report it, because you don't want to give them money and support the business. Report it.
Of course, yeah. So we also have sudden change in attitude and behavior, wanting to stay alone, being quiet, and depressed. Of course, these are all great signs. They're not great, but these are all signs that tell that something is definitely wrong. Avoiding social interaction and authority figures. Yeah, if you feel like something's wrong and you're not contacting the authorities, that means you're definitely under some sort of pressure and you're afraid to tell the authorities. Um, we should observe the behavior of the people in our surroundings. Of course, yeah, notice if anything's wrong, talk to them, ask them if everything's all right, and then maybe go to a trusted adult and tell them about that too. Fearful of someone and unable to talk alone with friends. Of course, yeah. So if they're unable to talk with friends, if they're fearful, that is a warning sign. Okay, let's go to the next question.
All right, number 3. What steps or protocol should you follow if you are in a dangerous or risky situation? This is very important because a lot of times when we're in the situation, we tend to maybe we're scared, we're worried, so we don't act as we should. So it's always good to know what to do beforehand.
Of course, yeah. So someone said contact the police. So even when people are scared, like they're scared to contact the police, like what harm could contacting them do? Because if you tell them, oh, I was forced against my will, they will definitely want to help. And yeah, just don't be afraid if you're ever in this situation.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
it's okay. Continue.
Someone said call the human trafficking hotline. Of course, if you feel like there's some sort of human trafficking around you, or even if you're involved in it, call the human trafficking hotline. They will have tips to help and inform you and tell you what to do.
Yeah, and like I said before, a big something very important to do if you feel like someone's following you, you're being followed, run into a crowd of people because it's hard to identify you because of all the people around you. And although that's very good, that strikes and initiates another problem. Avoid strangers, like said before. So really the best option is to contact authorities and the police.
Okay. Someone said volunteer and donate to such organizations are also mandatory. As we mentioned in the last virtual volunteer program. Yeah, of course, volunteer in those programs so you know how to point out if someone is being trafficked, what to do if you think they are being trafficked, and how to help them. Let's see. You can tell your parents are an authority figure, of course. If you're too afraid to tell your friends, tell your parents, someone you're more comfortable with. Be around people. Yeah, of course. If you feel like you're in danger, stay around people, stay around trusted people, so you'll be safe. Be aware of your surroundings and avoid walking alone. So yeah, of course. For example, especially in the night with women, walking alone is dangerous. So yeah, again, be aware of your surroundings and try to go out with a group of people.
And also something very important not to do. It's not very common much anymore, but to hitchhike, going on the side of the road and asking for a ride, That's one of the biggest ways to get kidnapped and eventually trafficked.
Can you name some other nonprofit organizations like TOLF other than this? So there's the KSCF Foundation, which is actually based in India, but they do have a chapter in India and in America. So yeah, those are some great nonprofits, and that's actually who we've partnered with. That is part of the Kailash Satyarthi, that's one of Kailash Satyarthi's nonprofits. So yeah, they're a main one. And also there's a 100 million campaign. So it's for change makers and pretty much just young change makers wanting to make a difference. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about child labor and human trafficking, but yeah, it's just people who want to make a change. Are those virtual organizations? So I am not quite sure, but with the current situation right now, I'm definitely sure they do have some virtual programs going on. So yeah. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So who is Kailash Satyarthi? Kailash Satyarthi is a child's rights activist who was awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 along with Malala Yousafzai. Mr. Satyarthi was an electrical engineer who quit his profession to fight for the rights of young citizens who do not have the voice to fight for themselves. He vows to eliminate child labor in his lifetime and believes every child should have the opportunity to go to school instead of working in child labor. He has dedicated the past 40 years of his life to fight for every child's freedom. He has guided us and has been mine and Kushan's inspiration from the start of the Touch of Life Foundation. He is truly a humble mentor who is passionate about this cause. Oh, okay, so thank you. So here's a quote from India Today. Kailash Satyarthi, born January 11th, 1954, lives in New Delhi. He has been active in the movement against child labor since the 1990s and has freed over 80,000 children from various forms of servitude and helped in successful rehabilitation through his organization, Bachpan Bachao Andolan.
In 2014, Kailash Satyarthi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize jointly with Malala Yousafzai for their struggle against the suppression of children and young people and for the right of all children to education. He says, if a child is denied education and forced to work instead, violence has been inflicted.
Here's a short video from Mr. Satyarthi that he made for Touch of Life Foundation virtual volunteer program.
Hi, dear Medna and Kushan and all the friends and families. I hope you are doing well. But more importantly, I congratulate you for thinking and caring for hundreds of millions of children who are in much more dangerous situations. Many of them on the verge of trafficking, slavery, and child labor due to the ongoing pandemic situation. As you know that 1.6 billion school-age students are not able to attend their schools due to long closures. And when it comes to 370 million children and their families who are highly dependent on conditional cash transfers or school feeding programs are in much more difficult situations. But you are caring for them, you are raising the voice, and I promise and I can confirm that your voices are not going to be wasted. The world will listen to you and care for those marginalized children of the world.
So we have one more video.
Hi, dear Medna and Kushan and friends. Lots and lots of congratulations for your new initiative of this webinar. As you know, hundreds of millions of children in the world were already suffering due to child labor, ill health, denial of education, trafficking, and slavery. But now you are raising voice for them. This is very, very pertinent and very important. The world is going to listen to your voices. I would congratulate your other friends like Kumar Virendra Singh, Sabera Shaukat, Jamie Escobar Fonseca, Riha Malhotra, Shauri Saran, Sushil Johal, Radhika Parvadia, Riya Vajpayee, Om Parvadia, Hee Nguyen, Inaksh Kumar, Marina Lin. I tell you one thing, that COVID-19 can kill humans, but it can never kill humanity, because the humanity, compassion, love and kindness is inside my children, and you are the one. Say hello to your families. Thank you.
So with that, I think we'll conclude this webinar, but I just wanted to say thank you guys all for joining the 6-week webinar. And I'm so glad you guys have made such a great impact, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in the next webinar series. So thank you guys and have a great summer. Thank you.